Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Payments Podbyte. Today, I'm joined by Rafael, our Associate Vice President and Regional Sales Director in Brazil. So, Rafael, we're here today to speak a bit about the Brazilian payments market and what's going on at the moment. So, from your perspective, what are the key trends you're seeing in Brazil's payments market at the moment?
Hello, Declan. It's a pleasure to be with you again. Although cash has been traditionally the most widely used payment method in Brazil, accounting for 47% of the transactions being carried out in the region, according to McKinsey, other methods are now starting to gain ground, such as prepaid, debit, credit cards, tap to pay, QR codes, and digital payments. So, the growth in these other payment methods, particularly the digital ones, is largely down to Pix, an instant payment scheme that the Brazilian Central Bank developed and launched in 2020 that allow users to send and receive payments. Pix has really helped to drive financial inclusion in Brazil, allowing over 40 million people to make their first even bank transfer. Between November 2020 and March 2022, the number of Pix users grew from 41 million to over 124 million and has been referenced as one of the fastest growing real-time payment systems in the world. Well, just to add an additional information, Pix is just the tip of the iceberg. It's the first piece of a much larger puzzle, if you prefer, as the Brazilian Central Bank strategy is to converge Pix, Open Finance, and Real Digital, our central bank digital currency, into a single platform until 2024. The idea is to have one super app from where the customer will be able to consult multiple bank wallets, bank accounts, as well as to receive credit offers and other services, such as insurance, marketplaces, or anything else that central bank can come into it. There is also an idea to make Pix international and interoperable with other instant payment systems around the globe. For central bank, it is not just conceivable for the end user to manage 5 or 6 or even more bank apps independently. So that's what is happening now in Brazil. Right now with my phone, I have 8 digital bank apps plus the traditional ones. So convergence between Pix and other trends is the big thing for the short term.
Okay, so it sounds like Pix has really enabled digital payments in Brazil to grow and thrive. What else has made this possible?
Well, the Payments to Advance Growth for All initiative, PAGA, is one of the key things that made Pix possible. The initiative aims to unlock the true potential of digital payments in Latin America and the Caribbean. The initiative was brought together by stakeholders from the public and the private sector to promote practical recommendations for a greater adoption of digital payments in the region. The technological innovations the initiative has introduced are creating new digital payments and trade opportunities while addressing important barriers. Governments can facilitate innovation by designing flexible regulations and policies that promote a level playing field for all players. Pix success was only possible due to the initiative of the Brazilian Central Bank, which has been trying to level the playing field among financial institutions since the real currency was launched in 1994. From that point on, due to several international and domestic crises, a huge number of banks have ceased their operations, bankrupted, or merged into larger groups, therefore shrinking the banking sector into a small and selective group of 5 or 6 players. The combination of high interest rates, a small and concentrated number of players, and one of the worst bank spread ratios of the planet have kept dozens of millions of Brazilians unbanked for decades. Additionally, the vast experience and creativity of the Brazilian citizens in dealing with financial crisis and high inflation on a daily basis, almost 3 decades ago, combined with one of the highest rates of early mobile adoption and early internet and e-commerce usage of the entire world, even nowadays, have contributed to make each Brazilian an early adopter of digital trends, thus paving the way to where we are now with digital payments.
Okay, and what's happening in terms of the fintech scene in Brazil?
Well, the venture capital investment rounds have decreased for the fintechs after reaching record heights in 2020. And certain IPOs from certain fintechs are not yet justified. The fintechs are learning to adjust after overstretching by diminishing the headcounts and shorting the runaways. What we see now is just an adjustment, as we had a lot of techs and not so much of fins, worldwide speaking. We have a lot of technology company and not so much credit around. Just to make an analogy, also, traditional banks have been pressing the central bank to submit the fintechs to the same tough regulations which the banks are subject to, thus increasing competition. Again, leveraging the playing field. We are already seeing many traditional banks launching their own spin-off fintechs, and fintechs applying for a banking license or a payment institution license. The adoption of the state-of-the-art and fast-track payment platforms will play a huge competitive difference.
Oh, okay. And what are your predictions for the future of fintech and payments in Brazil?
Okay, well, what we are seeing worldwide, I think, is the Uberization of the financial services. Pix have already really unlocked the revolution in Brazil. It has a much larger adoption than India's UPI, for instance, which was launched 4 years ago. Pix is eating digital payments in Brazil, and it's currently tied in with cash. It promotes financial inclusion to the unbanked, as well as boosts small and medium business, while expediting the level of digitalization as well. For the very near future, Pix will incorporate new forms of initiation, such as NFC, Bluetooth, RFID, facial recognition. New products such as Pix Collection, which is utility bill payments and tax collection via dynamic QR code, as well as Pix Installments, which is security payments, just like with the credit cards, for instance. Will be the next trend for 2023. And for the future, cryptocurrency, DeFi protocols, and NFTs, along with Web 3.0, are the trends to be monitored by all fintechs and payment technology providers worldwide.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Rafael. I believe you've put out a really good overview there of what's going on in the Brazilian payment scene. To all of our listeners, thank you, and we'll see you next time.